Well, hi. Welcome to Midweek Musings. I'm having technical difficulties here. I had my phone set the other way, and for some reason it wouldn't let me do it that way, so I had to turn it over. I'm not sure what's going on. So anyway, welcome. Glad you joined me. Welcome to Midweek Musings. I'm Kent Little, lead clergy at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church here in Newton, Kansas. I decided to do it outside. I came home just a little early for lunch, grabbed a bite, and thought before I head back to the church I would just come out here on the patio. It's a beautiful day, just a light breeze. It's a little warm in the shade, a little warm in the sun, but here in the shade it is quite pleasant. Anyway, if you get a chance to get outside and stay in the shade, I invite you to do that. Anyway, it's good to have you join me either live or later in the day, as this will be on our Facebook page. A lot of things going on at the church, as you can imagine. Every fall, on Mondays we have a church full of scouts, and they're programming. Next Wednesday, a week from today, we will start our Welcome on Wednesdays, our WOW program. We have a meal and then programming for the kids, and then I'm also doing a discussion group, which actually we started last week, and we'll do it again tonight, and then continue it as long as WOW is meeting. Last week it's a Theology Matters is what I called it, Theology Matters and Matters of Theology. Last week we talked about God. Which was an appropriate topic, seeing as how theology literally means the study of God, or thinking about God, if you will. And so it just seemed like a good topic last week to talk about God on our first Theology Matters gatherings. However, I just want to point out, if you decide to join us, if you were there last week, or come this week, or if you're new this week, I really want it to be an open discussion, so please bring your questions, your topics, your wonderings. I've always wondered about this. I told him last week, hey, this is your chance to stump the pastor, as if the pastor has all the answers. I certainly don't. I usually have more questions than I do answers. But anyway, so that'll be going on tonight, and then every Wednesday evening at 6:15. Tonight, I think somebody asked me Sunday what the topic was going to be, and so like I said, I always want to open those gatherings with working with questions and discussing questions that you all bring, but I'll always have something prepared. So I've been wondering what I would talk about this week if nobody brings questions to talk about. So I thought, well, we move from God maybe to the Bible. Well, what is the Bible for us? It's a good question. If we ponder about it, is it okay to question the Bible? Is it okay to question the stories? Wonder about them. Are they factual? Are they metaphor? Are they myth? Are they historical? Are they cultural, etc.? Which are important aspects as we read our scriptures. So that's what I'm going to bring prepared to talk about if nobody else has any other questions this evening at Theology Matters discussion group. So hope you can be there if you can. 6:15 in room 201 at Trinity Heights here in Newton, Kansas. So anyway, like I said, we have a lot going on at the church, and so as I usually do on my midweek musing, I try to give a little teaser of Sunday morning, or at least start the discussion, start the thought process. So this last Sunday, we talked about a difficult parable. We talked about the parable where the owner went out and hired people throughout the day, even into the evening, and then paid them all the same, as if they had worked a full day. Which is controversial, especially in our society and culture around capitalism and that kind of thing. We've talked a little bit about how I think Jesus oftentimes used these parables as hyperbole, as exaggeration in order to get attention, to turn the status quo on its head, to get us to thinking, or to get his audience to thinking about how they lived and what they did, to get them thinking about who God is, that God works with justice and equity and equality with all persons. And so anyway, so it was a difficult passage, and at least it made me uncomfortable trying to think about it and how to talk about it in our particular society and culture, and how, because we prioritize how hard one works, and the ladder of success, if you will, and this parable just kind of levels it all. So anyway, that's what we did last Sunday. So this Sunday, it's a familiar parable. Jesus is challenged by some of the religious leaders of his day. And then he tells a parable about two sons whose father asks them to go work in the field. One tells his father, "I'll do it," and then doesn't. And one son says, "I won't do it," and then does. And the question of Jesus to some of those religious authorities, so which one of these did it his father's will? The one who said he would and didn't, or the one who said he wouldn't and did? So I'm kind of going with that idea of, and it's a familiar saying about walking the walk and talking the talk. It's one thing to say we believe something. It's one thing to recite a creed. It's one thing to say the Lord's Prayer. It's one thing to say we believe such and such about God, or we believe this about Jesus, or we believe this about the faith or about the church. But if our actions don't reflect that, are we really practicing an authentic and genuine faith that Jesus calls us to in his way? Or are our actions more important? There's another saying that I ran across it's been some years ago. Your beliefs don't make you a better person. Your actions do. Now, when I shared that in my social media group, it created quite a discussion, because and rightfully so, out of context, just to throw that statement out without any context. No, wait a minute. Our beliefs do matter, and how we believe does matter, and I believe that. It's part of why I created this Theology Matters discussion group, because I believe our beliefs matter. That is, if we take our faith seriously. In other words, how I believe God works in the world, how I believe Christ is present in the world, should make a difference in how I interact with one another, with how I live, with how I believe my relationship with God is. It should make me a better person. It should help make this world a better place. However, if I say I believe one thing and I do something else, then my beliefs don't make me a better person. My actions are what speaks loudest. I think there's though I don't think there's any hard evidence that he actually said this, but it's attributed to St. Francis, who said, preach the gospel and use words if necessary. We are called to live in a particular way. If we follow the way of Christ, we're expected to treat one another in a particular way. And unfortunately, I think we don't have to look very far in our culture and society, and in our government, in our churches, if you will, or in our denominations, where people say they believe a particular thing, that they say they follow Jesus, that they say they follow the way of Christ, and they say they believe in God, if you will. But then they are hesitant at best, and sometimes at worst they just won't do it. They don't take care of the poor. They don't welcome the immigrant. They don't welcome all persons into the life of the church fully. They don't. They aren't inclusive. They don't take care of the orphan, the widow, and so they say one thing, but they do something different. And so there's that familiar saying: if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And I think that's at least in part. I think I've shared before that I had a seminary professor said that you really shouldn't unpack a parable; you should just let it speak for itself. Which we preachers are really good at saying that, and then reading the parable and then unpacking it for us in hopes that we might understand it more deeply. But as I unpack this parable of Jesus, I think at least a part of it is about saying one thing and doing something else. It's important. Our words matter. I think it's important what we say. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, when someone shows you who they are or tells you who they are, believe them the first time. And it matters. Our words matter. Our words have effects on other people and on their lives and on their spiritual lives and their physical lives, their mental lives. It matters what we say. But it also matters what we do. And so I think for we who claim to follow the way of Christ, we need to think deeply about what we say we believe. And when we say we believe something, then we must think deeply and act deeply in that same way. We can't claim to follow the way of Christ and then promote injustice in our world. You either are or you aren't a follower of Christ. And yes, our beliefs matter, but our actions should speak as loudly as our words. And unfortunately, I see way too much of that not being the case. And I pray it was not that way. I wish it was better. I wish we were better at that. I wish I was better at that. So that's kind of where I'm going Sunday, is that our words matter, and as much or even more, our actions matter. It's one thing for me to say I love you, but how do I show that? And so just something to think about and reflect on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you showed up, either now or later. Most importantly, like I always share, I hope we always strive to be a light and to love one another, every single other, until there are no others, only one beloved community of all. May it be so. May it be soon. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. Goodbye, and God bless.